Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the Jigabot webinar. We're going to get started right on time here, and I'm going to share my screen. And then Rick with Jigabot will kind of take over.
It looks like your screen is shared. Should I get started?
Sure can.
Great. My name is Rick Stout, and I'm the founder of Jigabot. And you see me in my development cave where we design circuit boards and tinker and program and whatnot, which is kind of my first love. And I understand that I'm speaking to resellers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. As resellers, I'm sure that you are interested in understanding different use cases for the system and how does this compare with other systems, and primarily outside of COVID, outside of people using robots to stream video for hybrid classroom use and so on. How do you sell this? How do educators use this? And so what I'm going to be presenting today and giving you some resources for moving forward is a list of collection of reflections and so on that we've put together over the years for particularly for the education market. And there is in the meeting chat, there's a link there to for the website. Also, if you look at the screen, the very top of the screen, she's got our website shown, and if you click on documents there, it will show you here this. So this particular browser has caching issues, so she's not able to see all of the links there. But if you look on the meeting chat and you click on the link that I've posted there, yeah, it shows the first of 3 white papers that you can find on our website just by going to documents in the top there. And maybe I can ask you to enlarge that to 150% or something like that, maybe, yeah, just a little bit bigger. So I guess, I could be demonstrating Jigabot for you today, but Jigabot is as simple as plugging in power and turning it on, and it begins to track. And it tracks very, very robustly, and you can use it to attach a camera or attach a laptop or attach a light or a tablet. And you might say, well, why would I want to attach these different kinds of things? And it's because the Jigabot, our TrackBot, is a robot designed to follow. It will follow by panning or swiveling left and right. And if you use it with our twofer configuration, it will actually pan and tilt. So it'll follow somebody left and right, up and down, further away and closer up. And this robot was designed initially for the cinematography market and for other markets, and not just for cameras. It was designed to support lights and microphones and other devices. So you'll find that the Jigabot device is unique. It's very unique from, I think, many of you may be familiar with the swivel device or the swivel robot. Our device is like night and day different than the swivel robot. For one thing, it's easier to use. You just turn it on and it begins to track. Secondly, you can attach anything you want to it. So you can attach a tablet like swivel attaches, or you can attach a DSLR or a camcorder or lights and other kinds of things. So, and it goes about twice as far. It can hold loads, or excuse me, it'll go probably 10 times as far as a swivel will indoors. It's very, very robust. So even if you turn around or a teacher turns around, it can follow. And And you can use it both to stream video and record video, but also you can use it as a teleprompter so that no matter where you are in a classroom or no matter where a student actor is on a stage, for example, they can see their lines, they can read the script that they're supposed to deliver and so on. And I think what you'll see in this presentation and in the documents that you can download from our website, again, jigabot.com/docs, DOCS, you'll be able to download white papers that show lots and lots of usage cases. So again, I'm not going to demonstrate the Jigabot device because it's very, very simple. You turn it, you power on, and it tracks very, very effectively and at longer distances and so on. But let me talk just a little bit about I'm assuming as a reseller, you're thinking, well, why would I sell this, or why is this of interest to my customers? Who are my customers? And why is this of interest to somebody outside of just a COVID hybrid classroom kind of situation? And so let's look first of all at this document called Major Use Cases. I think that we've found that a variety of individuals use our products. So teachers, coaches and trainers, researchers, content creators, remote workers, school administrators are just a few of the things, or excuse me, a few of the individuals that or users of our system. And you can read more about that, but let's focus for just a minute on school administrators and fundraising. So if you can just scroll down a little bit, we've identified 20 different ways where you can use Jigabot video to fundraise if you're a school administrator. So crowdfunding campaigns, auctions, fundraising events, raffles, donation drives. As a reseller, you're going to need to be able to give people lots of situations where a product can be useful. Here's a list of 20 ways that they can use it to make money or to raise money for their school. And let's again scroll all the way down to the bottom of this list. These are just a few ways that schools can use video to raise money. Now let's look at, well, let me just open it up. Do you have any questions, first of all, about how our device could be used for any number of these 20 different ways to raise money using video for a school? Any questions about that before I move on to the next kind of use case?
Doesn't look like it so far.
Okay, so let me just mention one thing here, merchandise sales. It's number 11 on the list. Schools can create video promotions for merchandise sales, such as school apparel, branded accessories, fundraising products like cookie dough, and so on. Obviously, if a person is going to move around and in a video, the video is more interesting. So if you're going to create a merchandising video, you would be better off using it with a Jigabot device. And if I can, just for a minute, let me just take an aside here. There is a white paper that you'll find on that website probably by the end of the day that says, "Do you know?" And the first item on that list is camera motion. And the second item on that list is really statistics about that. And let me just read a few to you. So according to a study by Wistia, videos with motion have 59% better retention rate than videos without. According to a report by HubSpot, videos with camera motion, such as panning or zooming, can increase viewer engagement by 86%. So by a study by Bright Cove, video cameras with motion have 13.8% higher conversion rate than videos without. This is obviously in a social media setting. According to a research study by Vineyard, videos with camera motion have 27% higher click-through rate than static videos. Again, so if a school is thinking about how do I raise money, how do I improve my, the interest that people find in these videos, click-throughs, retention rates, and so on, it's really critical that people use motion on their video. Now let's go down to the second use case here. Let's go down to 23 uses of a teleprompter. Teleprompters can be used with all kinds of devices, including smartphones or tablets. And they can, typically a tablet or a laptop will run an app. The app is called a teleprompter app. And while a person's reading the script that goes by, they are also looking into the camera, appearing to be extremely intelligent with great memory because they can remember all these facts and figures. There are in K-12 and higher education, we've identified at least 23 cases where using a teleprompter can be very useful. And let me just read a few of these. Delivering speeches and presentations. Administrators want to do that. Recording video lectures. Teachers want to do that. Facilitating online learning. Providing accessibility support. Recording audiobooks. Creating instructional videos. Creating webinars. Creating virtual campus tours for enrollment, helping with enrollment and so on. Recording instructional podcasts. Recording lab presentations or demonstrations, and so on and so on. I'm not going to read through that entire list, but you can see that for educators, using a teleprompter, whether it's an actual device that you can attach to the Jigabot device and attach it with a camera, or if it's like an iPad or a tablet or a laptop, and you're just running a teleprompter app, you can provide lots and lots of value. You get lots of utility from a Jigabot device because now, while I'm reading the teleprompter, never before, by the way, I'm not sure I've ever seen anybody, certainly Swivel doesn't provide this kind of functionality. I've never seen a product or service that allows somebody to walk around a classroom or on a stage and actually read their teleprompter while they're doing a virtual campus tour or whatever. So it makes your administrators look really smart. It makes your student weatherman or weatherwoman, look really intelligent by being able to just read what they're doing and either record or broadcast as they go. Just generally in education, let's go down to that next category, just generally education. I think that there's lots of uses for video in education generally. And there's also some statistics and so on, some studies that we'll look at in a bit about that. But let's look at number 9 on here, providing virtual field trips and tours in inaccessible locations. Maybe a teacher can go someplace, or somebody else can go someplace that the teacher has a relationship with, and could do a virtual tour of a location that would be cost prohibitive as a field trip for students. Developing video simulations and games to enhance learning. I think a really interesting use of our product is when people use it for virtual kind of reality and virtual kinds of situations where people are moving around, walking around a space, and they're using Microsoft Teams or Zoom or something else to see what each other is doing and where each other is going. You can use them for escape rooms, all kinds of things like that. So just using it to develop logic and using it to bring people together in a collaborative way so that they can learn together. And when it's important to see each other and where each other's at in some environment, then that's where the Jigabot device can be really useful. So anyway, let's let's go down to 22, capturing student discussions and debates for later analysis. I think, again, when you're having a student discussion, you can use our device with multiple students, and each one can be tracked and followed independently, and without the system becoming confused by that. So you can have multiple cameras streaming, for example, to Microsoft Teams or to Zoom, with multiple students, each one giving, moving around, giving a presentation, and this presentation is coordinated. And as they move around, you can see each one is kept in frame. This can be used for debates, where debates don't have to be stationary, but they can move to a whiteboard or to an exhibit and show what they're talking about, or demonstrate some sort of dance move or other thing that they're trying to discuss. Let's go down to the next one here. Principal observation evaluation. Jigabot system can be used by principals to observe and evaluate teachers in the classroom. So I'm sure all of you already know that teachers must be evaluated a couple times a year in most states in order to retain their accreditation, retain their jobs, certainly. And teachers typically, if they're in a classroom environment and a principal walks in, they get flustered, right? We all do when we're being evaluated. And alternatively, a teacher can use a system like this to self-evaluate. So a teacher can use a system like this to record themselves teaching lecture A, B, C, or D, class 1, 2, or 3, on day, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. And once they get one that they really like, they've recorded all of them, but once they get one they really like, that's the one that they send to their principal, or they send a link to a cloud link to that video to their principal for evaluation. So it's actually more convenient to the principal because they don't have to drive different places at different scheduled times and find classrooms and so on, and deal with other administrative issues when they're passing other teachers or administrators in the classroom, but they can do the observation at their own time. So, and it's better for teachers because it's generally easier. You also have, teacher self-feedback and teacher coaching, peer review feedback, and so on. Let's go down to the section where it says general teacher assistance. Recording of storage video content, providing insights to teacher performance, analyzing and tracking student engagement, offering feedback on instructional strategies and techniques, allowing teachers to share videos with colleagues, facilitating self-reflection and professional growth, creating content for collaboration, this is number 7, sharing of best practices, helping teachers meet state and national standards for evaluation, supporting ongoing professional development training, providing a tool for teachers to engage with families and to share student progress. So, a teacher can use this for a teacher-parent sort of preparation, where the teacher is preparing something that maybe is asynchronous video, but sharing it with parents and so on later. Remote learning, there's a lot of stuff around that. I'm going to skip that section. 6 top uses of videos for K-12 by students. Again, as resellers, you need to be able to realize that there are literally hundreds of different ways that people can use these devices within an educational context. If we look at how students are using videos, first of all, they're watching education videos. So that's the flip side of what Jigabot provides them after teachers post or stream, creating their own video presentations. I could go into details on all these, but let me just skip to keep efficient here. Recording experiments or demonstrations, participating in virtual classes, creating video projects. Overall, video can be valuable tool for students in K-12. So let's move on higher education, lest we think that this is only valuable for K-12. Let's, we've got 50 different examples of ways that video is used in higher education um, to um, to help professors, to help students, to help administrations, to help schools. Um, and I won't go into details there. You can read those. But again, um, there's nothing worse than trying to think about. I think such and such a school may be a prospect for this product, but what do I send them by way of information? And we all know that if you send, one megalodon dump of information, that's not really useful to anybody. At least it's not useful for very long. It's better to send, 3 points about this or 15 points on that, and to send multiple emails over time. That's what your software prompts you to do, right? Constant contact with people. So what we've done here is given you just tons and tons of content that you can use in the ways that you normally work with your schools to keep a conversation going about something like Jigabot. Now, if we can, I'm going to open up another document, and I'm going to paste this URL in the chat just to make sure that everybody has it. And let's open this one up. This is called Jigabot Video and Education. And this really begins with a scholarly article, or somewhat scholarly article that I've written that has an introduction. It talks about improved self-evaluation, improved student engagement, collaboration and feedback. If we just scroll down, a bunch of statistics, according to survey by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, 99% of teachers participate in video-based professional development, reported that it helped them to reflect on their teaching practices, while 96% reported that it helped them to improve their teaching. A study by University of Washington as well. Flipped learning, 71% of teachers report that using video in the classroom increased their student engagement. 67% report that it improves their student achievement. Again, you need content to be able to share with people if you're going to sell a product. And selling video is a pretty easy way to sell this product. And selling moving video or video in motion, and the studies and statistics around that are an even better way to market video and to sell video. So there's some examples here from University of Washington study, University of North Carolina study is example 2. Number 3 is peer observation coaching, study of Wisconsin-Madison. There's some resources here for you. Anyway, lots and lots of information here so that you can not just say, oh, this is a really cool device and this is super simple to use and I can mount any camera or light or microphone or laptop on it that I want to. But again, we're giving you information here that's actionable. So what can I talk about to create a little bit of interest? What can I send by way of ongoing post or email to provide useful information and growing sort of curiosity, and hopefully to then engage, to create some engagement, right, with the prospective customer. So here's 12 top studies and principles of video use by school principals. So if some of your discussions progress to the point of now I'm talking to a principal, and this principal likes statistics and likes studies, well, here you go. Here's 12 different bullet points that you probably don't want to send all at once, but you can send 1 at a time or 3 at a time or 5 at a time or whatever, to suggest that video can be an effective tool for principals to communicate with their staff, their students, and with families and to promote the school's mission and values. So, what school principal doesn't want to do that stuff? None of them do. It just so happens that our device um, is a lot more useful for these kinds of things than a swivel device or any other device. We've been evaluated, and there's some references to that in some of these white papers. We've been evaluated by cinematographers and others, professional video people, that rank ours the highest of all devices for indoor tracking, the easiest to use, the most secure, the most, I should say, robust. It just works and it just follows really nicely. Okay, let's go down to a little further here. Let's go down to thank thousands of professionals, common likes of Jigabot and video. People tend to, of our thousands of customers, they see it easy to use and set up. It's great for providing feedback tools for teachers. It allows teachers to easily share dynamic videos with others. It offers a range of features, lots of uses, lots of functionality, and it can improve teacher development. And again, I'm not even going into hybrid teaching specifics or streamed video or asynchronous video, things like that can obviously be used with this. Education software that can be used with Jigabot. So one unique thing about Jigabot is we do not lock you into our own proprietary software. For the swivel system to work, to really fully work, you have to buy their software too. For our system, we let you use anybody's hardware, anybody's software. And so, for example, in the education market, Teach Boost, Edthena, Observer XT, Noldus Information Technology, Kaltura, these are all systems that are pretty commonly used with educators, and they require video. They're best used with video, and nobody's device produces better video than Jigabot's device because it's dynamic, it's interesting, it follows students or teachers or administrators, whoever uses it. So what kind of software can you use with Jigabot? Any software that you want to. So I've provided you now with like hundreds of ways that Jigabot can be useful within the education market, but here's another 64 ways that teachers can use video to improve their teaching and learning. So delivering lectures and lessons online, creating flipped classroom videos for students who want to watch before class, providing video tutorials and demonstrations. That's only 3 of 64 ways that your teachers can benefit from having this sort of device or access to this sort of device. And I won't read through all of those. Let's go down and look at one interesting application, which is green screen use with the Jigabot. You have in high schools, particularly, you've got people using green screens in the video production classes, but also in the news and weather classes or daily sort of presentations and broadcasts. But let me just read some things here about this. With adoption of green screen, schools can take their video production to the next level and create professional looking video content for their classrooms and beyond. Now with Jigabot, that's sort of put to hyperspeed because now you can move around while you have a green screen background as well. Creating virtual backgrounds is one thing you can do. Schools can create virtual backgrounds for their content. And it can be things like branding, but it can also be putting students outside in the weather. So they walk from some portion of their production set in front of the green screen, and the fan starts blowing, and now what's behind them is the weather that they're describing for that day or something like that. Filming instructional videos. This is really, really useful if you are wanting to put, for example, content, your own PowerPoint content and so on, behind the instructor or otherwise, to show, science experiments and so on that have been conducted. You can see this and see the instructor at the same time. Creating video announcements. Just talked about news and events. This is a good way to share information with students and with families too. Because what you're always trying to do is sort of manage all the stakeholders within your school as an administrator, and green screen gives you just another way to do that. And green screen with Jigabot, really any camera, any technique, any microphone sort of thing with Jigabot, you just put it on steroids. It makes it all the more interesting. Filming student projects, such as presentations, performances, group discussions, and recording virtual field trips. Mentioned that earlier. Here's where we can go to different cultures and environments and have it narrated by the teacher using not only a green screen, but using a teleprompter where, the script is really easy to do. Those kinds of videos posting online are really, really great for, fundraising. They're really great for enrollment and so on. So overall, green screen can really enhance that sort of thing as well. Let me, I've got some more to share with you. Any other comments first? Any questions? I've talked about a lot of stuff here that could be useful to a reseller who's trying to make sure they've got plenty of content to engage others with. Questions about anything we've discussed so far?
If anyone has questions, feel free to type them in the chat. That always come up for all of us.
And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go back to cameras in motion and why video in motion is so useful. Videos that include motion are more engaging to the brain and to the emotions than images or text, because motion video can stimulate multiple areas of the brain and create a more immersive and memorable experience. So enter Jigabot. This, we enable video in motion. And okay, so Jessica is asking if I'll be doing a live demo. I don't think so, because I think, I'll do professional development and so on with people, and people get bored after the first minute, because literally all you do is power on the device and power on the dot driver, and it works, it tracks. So there's really not a lot to demonstrate there. If you look at videos, our video online, you can see the device in use. Just to go to our homepage, you can see the device in use and a little bit of information about that. But you don't have to configure it. You don't have to use a particular app. You don't have to use a particular camera or device. You literally can mount anything on it you want, and you just turn it on and use it normally. So if you're used to using Zoom on an iPad, you can do that. If you're used to using a teleprompter on a laptop, you can do that. If you're used to aiming a spotlight at the administrator giving a presentation on the stage, you can do that too. You can aim a spotlight on a stage. So again, if you want kind of the 3 steps for using a Jigabot, plug it in, attach the dots to an individual that you're going to track, and then attach a camera and turn it on. And that's it. That's all that there is to it. Any follow-up questions about doing a live demo? I know that Douglas Stewart did a demo that was recorded. It's available online on YouTube to watch that. But no, I'm trying to focus more specifically on and kind of think of putting myself in your shoes as resellers. What are the use cases and what makes this so useful? if I'll continue to wait if anybody else has a question. I'll be watching that periodically, but um, and then let me go back to motion and why motion for video is so important. And this is not a white paper, but it will be posted by the end of the day. You'll have access to this as well. Let's talk about how video is attention grabbing. It grabs the viewer's attention and holds it for longer periods of time. It has an emotional impact because it evokes emotions. It's multisensory because it includes vision and hearing. It's more immersive and memorable because it involves more parts of the brain. You're looking at different parts of the frame and so on while it's taking place. I think I've mentioned some of these statistics already, so I won't go over that. Let's talk about the Jigabot camera motion. So Jigabot motion can be used to create engaging video. And oh, thank you. It looks like somebody put the demo up there. Thank you, Tiffany. Jigabot specifically will pan. So that means that they move left and right. Some people call that swiveling. And it shows surroundings as it does that. So a person gets better sense for kind of the movement that's going on. Gigabots can also tilt. Unlike the swivel, for example, you can take 2 gigabots and combine them together into a configuration called a twofer. And while one is panning left and right, the other one is tilting up and down. All of this is automatic. So of course you can manually move a swivel device in a tilt manner, but you can't automatically move a device like that. So the Jigabot device can have motion in in these 2 axes, both panning and tilting. Let's talk about zoom. So pan, tilt, and zoom. Most cameras have an IR remote control. You can use, for example, with an iPhone, you can use a watch device to affect your camera. And you can use apps that will allow you even to digitally zoom, something like that, but cameras can be digitally zoomed. And zooming can help you to focus attention on special details. So it can help you to pull into somebody when they're talking about something in particular, or pull back when they're trying to describe what's on their whiteboard or an experiment that they're also showing while the Jigabot is tracking them. So zoom can be useful like that. Tracking is another type of motion. Tracking basically is to follow. Gigabots can be used with a steady cam. You can put it on a camera stabilizer. Unlike other devices, you could put it on a cart or other kinds of things to actually move it around while it's also tracking. So yeah, there's the home page. And if you go up to the top of that home page, you can see that primary video right there that shows you images of the device. If you want to play this, let's pause for just a minute. I would just recommend that you pull back the video to the very start, and then we'll turn on. Yeah, and this will give a demonstration. This is all motion. All the videos you see in here are motion that you can capture with a Jigabot device. Okay, thank you. I've got a question here from Dan. Dan asks, can RF frequency within a room, such as security motion detector or interactive whiteboard, cause interference with Jigabot dots? No, they cannot. The Jigabot dots pulse at a particular pattern, and there's actually 4 different patterns that you can choose from, but each of those patterns are different than ambient light or light reflections from the sun or something like that. And so they can be differentiated from other things, other kinds of RF light within an environment. And by the way, these dots are very, very small, these that we track. They're extremely small and they're extremely bright. So we can go much further. For example, within a room, we can go indoors up to several hundred feet actually. Next question, Sonny asks, or Sunny, excuse me, Sunny asks, is there a weight limit for operation, for example, laptop weight? Not really, not if you're using just the Jigabot device itself. If you'll notice on the screen here, on the left-hand side, we're mounting an iPad. Those typically are about 3 pounds. In the middle, we're mounting a laptop. Those may be excuse me, those are probably 3 pounds. A tablet's probably 1. But even if a tablet is 10 pounds, for example, it's fine. We rate the system at 10 pounds, but we commonly have customers using 20 pounds and just fine within the system. We don't recommend that, but you'd be hard pressed to find a light or a laptop or a camera that weighs, more than 10 pounds. On the right-hand side, we're showing a twofer implementation. That's 2 gigabots together, just 2 regular gigabots combined together with our special twofer accessory attachment. And one is panning and one is tilting. In this case, we do recommend that you stay underneath 5 pounds for that top camera, and typically probably 3 pounds for that top camera, because there's a lot of motion going on there in that situation. Dan asks another question. Dan asks, is there a speed adjustment on the motion capturing movement? Yes, there is. You can use our app and you can actually adjust the speed and the smoothness of the tracking. You can also use our app to track manually. So you can actually move the device at any speed you want to, and you can actually just direct it to where you want it to go. We also have within, and that's both iOS and Android apps. So you can adjust the speed, you can adjust the smoothness. You can also adjust how a bias, if you want to bias the frame so that it centers rather than in the very middle of the frame. The person is biased offset to like the left third or the right third or something like that. So there's a few things like that you can do. Also, in the Android app, you can actually set presets. So you can set up to 4 different presets where the device is going to be aiming. And by pressing a button on the device, then you can go to one of these presets. And with both Android and the iOS, you can track and then you can jump to a home position, which may be a whiteboard or a demonstration that you're giving to the classroom or something like that. So lots and lots of versatility, customizability with the software like that. Let's scroll down just a little bit further here on this page. You can see that let's go back up for just a second. Lots of organizations use our devices, and not just schools. We're used by sports organizations or in industry as well as in the education market. Again, this was originally designed for the really, really tough constraints of the cinematography market, and being able to track extremely smoothly in an extremely robust manner with a professional camera for somebody indoors within like a studio environment. Another question from Dan, is there a typical maintenance or cleaning routine that's recommended? No, not really. These devices are designed to just work. They have an 18-month warranty, which is the longest in the industry. And in 18 months, out of 1,000 units, we'll probably get 3 that come back. And so they're extremely robust. They work really, really well. The bearings that we use and the motors are self-lubricating. So yeah, I mean, there's really no maintenance or cleaning that needs to be done with the devices. Let's scroll down a little further if we can, and let's just look at this title. It says, finally, let's go back up slightly, sorry. Finally, a tracking robot that's powerful and easy. Here's 3 steps. This is how easy it is to use. The robot itself is the silver device there in the middle. You attach the Jigabot to a tripod, then you mount a device such as a camera to the Jigabot, and then you attach dots to a person. The person there in number 3 has dots on the left and right side of their collar. The dots are really, really small. So again, they're not very noticeable. It's not like you got to wear a great big obvious lanyard. So if you're reading, a teleprompter script and walking around, it's not real obvious what you're doing. It just looks like you're a genius, that you really understand, the content and that you're reading it really well. So administrators, principals love this device. They love what it can do for fundraising, for enrollment, and for just making their school look so brilliant. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit more on this homepage. Okay, this shows you the dot. The dot is really small. It's magnetic, and it also comes with a backing magnet. So you can put that dot literally any place where you've got cloth, put the magnet backing behind, and it will stay in that place. There's more that you can read about this. There's a post to learn more about the accuracy of the device, and you can click on that and you can read that post. But this has been reviewed by people comparing every tracking system that's available, and this is by far the most robust system for indoor tracking that's available. And you can read more details there in that post. Let's go down a little further. 1,400 customers love their EX spots. K-12 teachers, religious leaders, coaches, higher education instructors. Let's keep scrolling down. Lots of uses, athletes, videographers. That's relevant for education too, right? Because you've got sports teams, you've got video classes, and so on. Presenters, animal trainers, corporate trainers, theater performers. Again, that's relevant because you've got theater classes and so on. Okay, so another question from Dan. Great questions, by the way, thank you. Dan, can more than one person be dotted? If so, how is each individual tracked? So the answer is yes, more than one person can be dotted. So the dots are powered with a little power supply, a little power pack called a dot driver. And those dot drivers slip into your pocket. But those dot drivers allow you to toggle between one of 4 different pulse patterns. So up to 4 people can be in the scene at once, and the Jigabot device will only follow one person depending on which pulse pattern that Jigabot device is set to. So if you want to have 4 different Jigabots surrounding a stage, for example, and each one tracking a separate person, you can do that, and they don't get confused. Importantly, too, you can also have multiple Jigabots on each person. So if you want to have really professional looking video that is of an event, let's say it's a school end of year dance festival or whatever it is, and you've got 3 different cameras, and you've also got a couple of different spotlights, and these are all tracking one person. Or again, you have a set of devices with lights tracking a person with a fill light, a key light, and a backlight kicker, what are called kickers. And then you have a camera on the left, a camera on the right, and a camera in the center. And it's following this particular dancer, somebody maybe an instructor or somebody who's just really good that you want to be tracking for this live broadcast that you're doing. You can set it up like that, and then you can set up the exact same thing for dancer number 2, dancer number 3, and dancer number 4, and the devices will not get confused. They'll put lights, they'll put microphones, like if you're using a boom mic, they'll put cameras on these devices. The really interesting thing about this Jigabot device is the prices that Douglas Stewart is selling our devices for in the education market. This is less expensive than a swivel device, and a swivel device can't do 10% of what we're talking about here. A swivel device is a fairly light duty device for light duty tablets that kind of go back and forth at a close range, not more than maybe 20 feet or 30 feet, and slowly, and you have to be wearing a great big obvious lanyard, and you have to keep facing the device. You can't turn around or something for the tracking to work. So what you're seeing here with the Jigabot device and the price that Douglas Stewart is selling it at, this is an incredibly good value. It's being sold into the education market like this, but this could be used with all of your favorite professional, devices too. On the screen, we see Sony, Panasonic, Canon, Red, Apple, RE. These are top equipment in the industry. Can be used. And so, if the school you're selling to is a really poor school district and they've got, Google Chrome devices and that's it, and they're 5 years old, no problem. You can use them with our device. If they've got laptops but no tablets, no problem. You can use laptops with our device using the appropriate, accessories and so on. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit further on here. We've got about 5 minutes left, and I've already opened it up for questions, so I'm just going to keep talking here for a little bit longer. Post your questions there if you have more. Top 4 ways that customers use EX bots. The first one is to record and to stream. And you're going to see here that a tablet is attached to this EX bot, but all kinds of streaming devices, including cameras with HDI, SDI cables streaming to a PC that's going to special, cards uploaded to the web for broadcast, could also be used. These devices, these Jigabot devices, are very robust. They've got a lot of torque. And so even if you're draping a cable from your camera and auto tracking, it works. Okay, let's go to capture and producing. Let's just scroll down a little bit further. This actually shows a camcorder. This could be any kind of professional camera. Notice on the very top of the Jigabot device is what we call a top mount. And it is an aluminum CNC milled, black anodized, accessory that adapts this to any kind of 1/4-20 or 3/8 mount to professional devices and cameras where you can put a quick release plate, you can move things forward and back. And some of this may not mean much to you, but it will mean a lot to your video classes, the people that run the video classes in the high schools, for example, or in the colleges. It means a ton to the college, performing arts colleges and stuff like this. Also notice that there's a bottom mount on the Jigabot device in this picture. And yeah, that is so that you can attach this with multiple 3/8 16 and 1/4 20 screw to any type of jib or dolly or Steadicam or tripod or, go-kart or hoverboard that you want in order to get really, really interesting motion while it's also tracking. So, some of these moves take 3 camera operators in Hollywood to produce this one move that you can get with one device at an education discount on Douglas Stewart. So let's scroll down a little bit further here. Reading and seeing. So these devices are commonly used to read from a teleprompter or from a PowerPoint presentation and scrolling it like from, you know, a phone that's Bluetooth enabled, or just a remote control, or if it's teleprompter, it's just goes unless you stop it. And this is all automated while you move around a set or move around a stage or move around a classroom or a lecture hall in a university setting. Now let's move down one more here. Sort of another major use is for highlighting or spotlighting. Imagine that your students in some sort of STEM class are building RF radio control cars. They're racing around a track at an event day in sort of a large gymnasium. And who's ever running this event wants to keep a particular car, or maybe the 4 anticipated best cars, they want to keep them in frame and they want to keep a camera on them. And so you can use the Jigabot twofer, which will both pan and tilt around the track and up and down, near, far, and so on. And you can put both a camera on there, but you could also put like a spotlight. You could spotlight a car. You could put a laser on a car, and you can track it around an environment. And for example, a laser or the spotlight could be on the lead car, but as a different car takes the lead, you could, in the app, switch to that car and have it now spotlight or follow that car. So I think our time is up. We've got about 2 minutes left. So I'm going to pause at this point, and just remind you that you can go to jigabot.com. The very top is a link called Docs. You can go there. You can see white papers that we've published. Some browsers, Google is a little slow refreshing the cache on some of these browsers, or we've noticed earlier today. So it may take a minute, but you'll find 3 different white papers there that talk about lists and lists and lists of things that you can discuss within the education market that makes it a really easy sell to sell a Jigabot device, even without being in a COVID environment. So thank you very much for your time. And again, if anybody have any questions, be happy to answer those now.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you everyone for joining. Doesn't look like there's any more questions at this time. If there is, feel free to reach out to your account manager and we will get those forward over to Rick, or we will answer them ourselves if we have them for you. Thank you again, and we hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.